The Healing Revolution: How Black Entrepreneurs Are Rewriting Success. I want to start by acknowledging the profound wisdom that shaped today's talk. Recently, I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing DeLisa Branch-Nealy, a visionary leader who has fundamentally transformed how we understand the intersection of entrepreneurship, healing, and authentic leadership for Black professionals. DeLisa isn't just a thought leader, she's a revolution in human form. Her work has created pathways for countless Black entrepreneurs while emphasizing something our capitalist society desperately tries to make us forget: that personal healing isn't separate from professional success, but its very foundation. She stands at the vanguard of a movement that refuses to accept the false dichotomy between business excellence and emotional wholeness. And through her commitment to this truth, she has become nothing less than a catalyst for transformation in our world. What struck me most profoundly in my conversation with DeLisa was a perspective that fundamentally shifts how we think about entrepreneurship, particularly for Black professionals. We've all heard the conventional wisdom: business success requires strategy, capital, and connections. These elements matter, of course. But what DeLisa revealed cuts much deeper. The journey to professional and entrepreneurial success for Black leaders requires not just business acumen, but deep personal healing and self discovery. Let that sink in for a moment. Dot, comma. In a culture obsessed with hustle culture and grinding ourselves into dust, this insight is revolutionary. When we talk about business development, we rarely discuss the emotional labor involved, particularly for those navigating systems that were never designed with them in mind. We don't acknowledge how confronting generational barriers and embracing vulnerability becomes not just helpful, but necessary for Black entrepreneurs. Think about that for a moment. Dot, comma. What if the most critical business skill isn't found in an MBA program, but in the courage to heal from historical and personal wounds? What if entrepreneurial resilience comes not just from market research, but from reclaiming one's authentic self? This holistic approach that DeLisa champions transforms both the entrepreneur and their business ventures. It creates leaders who build differently, lead differently, and ultimately succeed differently, often creating more sustainable and community centered enterprises in the process. Let me share what this looks like in practice through some powerful examples that illuminate this revolutionary framework. In Detroit, a city with a complex history of both Black excellence and systemic oppression, something remarkable is happening. Black leaders Detroit emerged to address a persistent challenge facing Black entrepreneurs: access to capital. The statistics are sobering and shameful. Black business owners are rejected for loans at twice the rate of white owners. And when they do receive funding, they typically receive less than requested with higher interest rates. But rather than simply lamenting these disparities, Black Leaders Detroit created community driven funding models providing low interest loans specifically for Black owned businesses. Founded by local leaders seeking economic justice after observing persistent disparities following the 2020 racial reckoning, they've distributed over $1 million in direct financial support since their inception. What makes their approach unique is how it addresses both practical needs and deeper healing. By creating funding mechanisms rooted in community empowerment, they're not just providing capital, they're repairing broken systems and restoring agency. They are helping entrepreneurs launch businesses while simultaneously addressing the psychological impact of historical exclusion from financial systems. The results speak volumes. Dozens of Detroit based businesses have successfully launched or expanded operations. More importantly, they've helped reshape Detroit's entrepreneurial landscape by empowering underrepresented founders through collective action. This exemplifies what DeLisa means when she says community matters. Building strong support networks isn't a nice to have, it's essential in navigating challenges unique to Black business owners. But community support alone isn't enough, which brings me to another powerful example, the Therapy for Black Girls podcast. This platform highlights how self discovery intersects with entrepreneurship among Black women professionals in ways that traditional business resources rarely acknowledge, let alone address. The podcast tackles the challenge of overcoming internalized narratives around worthiness and success while building ventures in predominantly white industries. It provides affirmations, therapeutic resources, and candid conversations on mental health tailored specifically for entrepreneurial journeys. Founded by Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, after recognizing gaps in culturally competent mental health resources for professional women of color, the podcast has achieved millions of downloads and is recognized as a top resource supporting holistic well being among aspiring leaders nationwide. What's revolutionary about this approach is how it normalizes conversations around therapy within the context of ambition, redefining what success looks like beyond external achievements. Listeners report improved confidence, with many crediting the podcast insights with helping them pivot careers or launch new ventures authentically. This example powerfully reinforces one of DeLisa's core messages. Healing is strategic. Investing in personal growth and mental wellness isn't just self care, it's a critical business strategy that enhances leadership capacity and innovation. When Black entrepreneurs prioritize their mental and emotional well being, they make better decisions, build stronger teams, and create more sustainable businesses. The third example brings these principles into institutional change. Lauren DeLisa Siegel, an economic development specialist at West Hartford and former award winning entrepreneur, uses her lived experience to guide others through complex business landscapes. After 2 decades running La Piastra LLC, a gourmet catering brand, Lauren shifted her focus towards systemic change via municipal economic development roles. She now acts as a liaison connecting minority owned startups with local government resources, demystifying permitting processes, and celebrating wins across the community. Her work has improved retention rates among local minority owned businesses through targeted outreach and support. She's been instrumental in launching new initiatives promoting inclusive growth within West Hartford's commercial corridors. And her advocacy has inspired similar programs regionally aimed at leveling the playing field for all aspiring entrepreneurs. Lauren's journey illustrates another key insight from DeLisa: embracing authenticity fuels resilience. The most successful Black entrepreneurs are those who lean into their true selves, using their unique stories as sources of power rather than obstacles. Lauren didn't hide her experiences as a Black business owner when she entered government work. She leveraged them to create more equitable systems. These three examples illuminate the revolutionary framework DeLisa Branch-Nealy presents. Successful Black entrepreneurship requires a holistic approach that addresses both external barriers and internal healing. This isn't just theory, it's being practiced by individuals and organizations creating real change. But why does this matter beyond those directly involved? Because we're missing extraordinary potential when we maintain narrow definitions of entrepreneurial development. Consider our current approaches to business incubation and acceleration. And most programs focus exclusively on business plans, pitch decks, and financial projections. They rarely address the unique psychological and emotional challenges faced by entrepreneurs from marginalized communities. They don't provide tools for healing from experiences of discrimination or exclusion. They don't acknowledge how historical trauma impacts risk tolerance or self perception. What if we reimagine these programs through the lens DeLisa presents? What if, alongside financial literacy, we taught emotional literacy? What if, alongside market analysis, we provided culturally responsive mental health resources? What if, alongside networking events, we created healing circles? The implications extend beyond individual entrepreneurs to our broader economic ecosystem. When we support Black entrepreneurs in both their business development and their healing journeys, we enable the creation of more innovative, resilient, and community centered businesses. These businesses are more likely to address unmet needs, hire from underrepresented communities, and build wealth that stays within those communities. This approach also challenges how we measure success. Traditional metrics focus on revenue, growth rates, and market share. These matter, but DeLisa's framework suggests we should also value metrics like founder well being, community impact, and cultural authenticity. A business that grows more slowly but sustains its founder's health and serves its community effectively may ultimately create more lasting value than one that scales rapidly at the expense of these elements. The wisdom DeLisa Branch-Nealy shares carries profound implications for how we support the next generation of Black entrepreneurs. It suggests that accelerators, incubators, and funding organizations should incorporate healing centered approaches. It means business schools should teach emotional resilience alongside financial analysis. It means mentorship programs should address both strategic challenges and personal growth. For Black entrepreneurs themselves, this perspective offers both validation and direction. It acknowledges the real challenges they face while providing a pathway forward that honors their whole selves. It gives permission to prioritize healing not as a distraction from business goals, but as an essential component of achieving them. So I stand before you today with a challenge, a call to revolution. We cannot continue to separate healing from hustle. We cannot continue to pretend that the trauma carried in Black bodies doesn't affect the businesses built by Black hands. We cannot continue to measure success by profit margins alone while ignoring the human cost. It's time to tear down the artificial wall between personal wholeness and professional achievement. It's time to recognize that for Black entrepreneurs, especially, healing isn't a luxury, it's a business imperative. What would our world look like if every incubator, every accelerator, every business school, every venture capital firm understood this truth? What innovations might emerge if we supported entrepreneurs' whole selves, not just their business plans? What generational wealth might be created if we address the wounds of the past while building the enterprises of the future? I challenge you, whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, an educator, or simply someone who cares about creating a more equitable economy, to take one radical step this week. Invest not just in business development, but in healing. Create space not just for strategy sessions, but for authentic connection. Value not just financial metrics, but human wholeness. Because when we embrace the revolutionary truth that DeLisa Branch-Nealy has illuminated, that healing and hustle must go hand in hand, we don't just create better businesses, we create a better world. Thank you